We are live. Woohoo! So excited. Hello, 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 everyone. We have like a couple of seconds before we officially get started. As you see, we have a guest here, Amanda. How are you?
Hello. Hi, Natasha. I'm well. How are you?
Good, 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 good. Okay, so since we have a couple of seconds, I think what would be great is if we start to share this out with people, and then we will officially get started and get everyone acclimated to figure out who you are and your amazing story, and take it from there. It is Saturday here on this part of the world, but I don't know where everyone else is joining. Hopefully, it is good and happy wherever they are. And you can also, Amanda, feel free to share this out with your network as well. I'm just sharing it out with a couple of folks. There we go. All righty. So it is time
And
now as you start to share and stuff, but we will get started. Hello, 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 everyone. My name is Natasha Nurse. I'm the founder of Dressing Room 8, which is a coaching platform that is designed to help women really live their best authentic lives personally and professionally. And one of my favorite things to do is have conversations with really dynamic and meaningful and impactful women like Amanda here. So I could never do any justice in introducing her amazement. So without further ado, Amanda, please share with everyone who you are and why you rock.
well, thank you, Natasha. My name is Amanda D. Geneste, and I rock because I am here today. Here today to tell my story. I am a retired detective investigator with the Kings County District Attorney's Office, a mother, a sister, and I newly added on to that, I am the author of a book titled I Am. And I am, what I am does is tell my story in regard to the adversities that one may have during their life and how I overcame.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so there's a lot to unpack there. Let's go piece
Yes,
by piece. So I am. First, how did you come up with the title of I Am?
I wanted, I am helped me to know who I am. The writing, the poetry, the work that I did, it started off as an outlet for me as a child. And after reading through it myself, I realized this is who I am. This
Mm,
book, this book tells my story.
mhm,
So I was more than happy to share that because
mhm.
I feel that it's going to help people understand that they're not alone when they go through certain things in life.
Okay, and I feel like you're holding things to the chest, so I want to open this up and really get deep and honest here. And so, when you say some of the things you've gone through in your life, what does that mean? What is your story about?
When I was young, I went through the bad experience of being molested as a child. I also experienced sexual abuse in my younger age,
Mhm.
and that is something that has an effect on a child's development, and the child can take that all through their lives with them, the negative effects from it, if the child is not helped. And
Yeah,
in my case, I had people around me that really loved and supported me. But
yeah,
when it was happening, they weren't aware that it was happening, and it happened. The abuser was a family member.
mm, okay,
And because we never had that conversation about child molestation and child sexual abuse,
yeah,
I didn't know I needed to tell.
mm, okay,
And it caused me a journey that led to being a high school dropout, a teenage mother,
mm,
making bad choices in relationships.
yeah,
As a teenager, I loved school.
yeah,
Why did I end up being a high school dropout?
mm,
And because of the sexual abuse, I
yeah,
didn't care to have sexual interactions at such an early age, and yet still,
mhm,
I became a teenage mother.
mm,
So after becoming that teenage mother, I decided I needed to take a look at myself.
Yeah.
Who am I? Why have I made some of the decisions that I've made?
Mm-hmm.
When you're a parent, you're forced to look at yourself because you want to be that good example for your children.
Yeah.
And reading through my poetry, which I started, like I said, from a very young age,
Yes.
I realized I was that victim.
Mm.
I was that person that felt all that pain, had the low self-esteem,
Mm.
feeling the anger. And those are normal things.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
fortunately for me, I was able to channel it and use my writing, my poetry as an outlet for all of the terrible things I went through in life. And now as an adult, I still use it as an outlet.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. So when did the sexual abuse happen to you as a child? How old were you when it first started?
Because I was so young, I can only gauge by the events that took place around. And I would estimate it started when I was about 6 or 7 years old.
Okay. And how long did it take until your parents and your close loved ones were aware that this family member was doing this to you?
It took about 3 or 4 years.
Wow.
And yes, and the only reason I told is because one night I locked the bedroom door
Mm-hmm.
while I was laying on my sister's bed with her newborn baby. And I locked that bedroom door.
Yeah.
And they were trying to I fell asleep with the door locked because I could hear my half brother, who was the abuser. I
Yeah.
could hear him coming. He was trying to pry the door open, and they weren't around.
Yeah.
They were at the next door neighbors. So I fell asleep with this little baby in my arms in fear throughout that night that he was actually going to get that door open, pry that door open.
Oh my God.
Thank God he didn't.
Yeah.
And when my sisters came home, they were banging the door down. They were, of course, curious to find out, why did I lock the door?
Yeah.
And I then had a reason to speak about the abuse,
Mm.
to
Oh.
let them know what was going on as to why I locked the door. So that's why I say it's so important
Mm-hmm.
to have that conversation with your
Mm.
children. I mean, with every child, the age is different,
Yeah.
but I would advise people to start teaching their children from a young age
Mm-hmm.
what their body parts are. Teach them body safety. Teach
Mm-hmm.
them the names, the actual names of their body parts.
Mm-hmm.
So if they're to report that someone's touching them in a particular place, they're
Mm-hmm.
saying the correct things. Because when a child is reporting, you
Yeah.
don't want to have to ask the child over and over again, well, where did he touch you?
Mm.
What is that? And if it's someone that they're reporting to that doesn't live in your household, you
Yeah.
don't want the child to come up with some pet name that you taught the child.
Yes.
Then this person is not going to understand what the child means.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
it's very important we teach the children body safety.
Yeah.
Teach them to say no when they're in an uncomfortable situation. Let them know it's acceptable to say no.
Absolutely. So what you and I share, is obviously our passion for poetry, our passion for being advocates. Would you, and now given your long history of being, in the criminal justice system, I'd love for you to share with the world essentially a little bit about what you learned about sexual abuse crimes and child abuse as being a part of one of the force that prosecuted these things in Long Island and New York generally. Like, kind of what were some shocking things that you learned in your career, especially since you had that personal experience and that tie to this world?
One of the important things I learned, Natasha, is 90% of the time, the abuser is someone the child knows very well. And at least 30% of those abusers are family members. Anyone can be a child abuser, and any child can be a victim.
Yes.
So I learned that we need to pay attention. We need to not just teach the children body safety, but we need to bring awareness of it to the people that we bring around. We need to let people know that our children are aware is actually a deterrence to the abuser. They are aware that you are aware that this can happen. Sometimes also it's good, and not sometimes, all of the time. When children are in your house, we need to block those spots. Bathroom, hallways.
Gotcha.
We have a bunch of people in the house. We have a big amount of people in the house. Make sure we can see the bathroom door. Make sure all bedroom doors are open.
Gotcha.
Because it can happen to anyone at any time. And we need to protect the children.
Absolutely.
Another thing I learned is we need to pay attention when the children are speaking to us. Pay attention to the things they say. Because one of the signs from a child is inappropriate sexual conversation, inappropriate for their age. Having sexual conversations. We need to pay attention to that. We need to pay attention to their mood, depression, or a child may not want to go to someone's house and be with that person by themselves.
Yeah.
Pay attention to why. Pay attention to signs from adults who can possibly be that abuser. That person does not respect boundaries.
Yeah.
Inappropriate gift giving to your children. Wanting to be best friends with the child. Offering the child things that they see that's missing from your relationship with the child.
Interesting. Okay. Those are really interesting points. When it comes to hearing children, I'd love for you to dive into that, because I remember, growing up, it's interesting. As a child, I don't remember anything before 6. So I don't know what happened to me. I'm just like, I don't know. I don't remember anything. But after that point, I do remember one time I was like, maybe like 11, around 11 or 12. There was like this older man in my neighborhood, and he was always very, like you're saying, like very friendly with children. And one time I was like at a Chinese food store, and he wanted to like give me a hug, and I felt very uncomfortable. I felt like it just wasn't like a normal hug that you should get from like an older person. And when I did have that conversation, unfortunately with my parents, my dad was not very he didn't hear me, and it became kind of a blaming thing, like, why would you touch this person? You don't know this person, and it's kind of like made me feel like I did something wrong. So what is some of the language or some of the ways that people, especially parents and loved ones caring for children, can speak to their children in a way that doesn't create a shaming situation or makes the child feel comfortable from sharing that? Because like in my case, nothing else happened there, right? But for other kids who are abused or are, it goes a different route. Like, how do they feel comfortable? Like, what's the words that they should be using? And then what are the words that parents and loved ones can be saying to put that child at ease, so that it's a productive conversation for both parties involved?
Okay, now listening is, as I said, very important. And teaching them from a young age the discomfort, the do's and don'ts. If someone touches you here, if anyone hold you in a way that makes you feel uncomfortable, speak to me immediately. Now, for the children whose parents haven't had that conversation with them,
Yeah.
it is just important that we as a community bring awareness to these things that are happening. And
Mm.
that's why I'm doing what I'm doing, because I want people to be aware when your child comes to you and expresses to you that they felt a discomfort.
Mm-hmm.
We're all individuals,
Mm-hmm.
and we are to respect the child's feelings,
Mm-hmm.
because that person is not going to hold you the way they held that child.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So if that child is saying, I didn't like the way he hugged me,
Mm-hmm.
or you saw the child and the person hugging each other, and you want to tell the child or warn the child because you as an adult know that's a bad situation for the child to be in,
Yeah.
you would just, as normal conversation, explain to the child again. The age varies. Explain to the child based on what you know your child's understanding is,
Mm-hmm.
that it's not safe to do that with everyone.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Okay. So putting up boundaries and understanding that like physical touch isn't something that you, because there's some children who like are just very loving, right? Like they want to run up to everyone and hug everyone. But unfortunately, we don't live in a world where that might pan out well for them. So understanding that like hugs should be reserved for people that you know that you feel comfortable with, and like diving into comfortability, what makes you comfortable with certain people. And okay, interesting. Now, in both of us have a Caribbean background, right? You're Trinidad, right? From Trinidad?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. I was born in Trinidad.
Beautiful. Yeah. My family's Jamaican. And so within Caribbean culture, what complexity do you think that adds to this conversation? Because as you know, Caribbean people can sometimes be a bit rough and tough, and not
Yes,
necessarily as open and as forthcoming as we could. And it's very much, I know at least how I grew up, it was just like children are heard, but are seen, but not heard.
right.
Also feel that same experience in your household, and like what can the Caribbean community do to change things if things you feel are still like the same?
Okay. Yes, I did feel that. And as a matter of fact, I mentioned that in the book I Am,
Mm-hmm.
that uh, this 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 child molestation and child abuse
Yeah.
situation has been going on for so long.
Mm.
Now, it is important for us to break the stigma of not talking about it, because it's sort of like a taboo.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to tell
Yeah.
that, oh, my brother did this, or my
Mhm.
stepfather, or my stepmother, because
Yeah.
women do it too. Women
Yeah.
women do it also.
Yes.
And men, I'm sorry, boys are also victims of child abuse.
Yes.
So as far as I first want to say, I know that the West Indian culture have come a long way
Mm-hmm.
and still do have a long way to go.
Yeah.
So talking,
Mm-hmm.
again, talking about and bringing awareness is a preventive measure.
Mm-hmm.
And if you are having that conversation with your child that
Mm-hmm.
this can happen, and just in case this happens, I want you to come tell me immediately.
Yeah.
Having that conversation is so important. It lets the child know that you care. You
Mm.
don't just care about how they cross the street.
Yeah.
You care about if, and you will stand up
Mm-hmm.
for that child if someone touches them inappropriately.
Yes.
Another thing is, you want them to know it's not that they did something wrong. You did absolutely nothing wrong,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and we are going to fix this.
Mm.
They, it's so important that the children know you are there for them no matter what.
Absolutely. Now, with COVID-19 and this pandemic that we're facing, that I don't know when it will be over with, but you and I have had conversations before where, you raised something very interesting to me that I didn't even initially think about. Now, how does child molestation and abuse, how do you think it's being affected with COVID-19 and having more kids at home, and maybe people who normally would be at work are now home? Like, what are some things that you think parents and guardians should be thinking about with the connection with the pandemic?
As a culture, we have always we have always wanted to provide for our family. And we go out, some of us from one job to the next, or from the job to school.
Yeah.
And we tend to feel so good when there's someone there to volunteer to babysit for us.
Yeah.
So as far as COVID goes, now a lot of the children are home with their abusers.
Yeah.
And yes, as the RAIN organization, RAIN, which is Rape, Abuse, Incest National Organization, they have reported lately that there has been an uptick in calls from minors that they have never seen before.
Jesus.
The children are now home, whereas before they were able to go to school and escape that.
Yeah.
They had the teachers, the counselors that they could report to, the adults they felt safe around, or just to be away from it. So now they're at home, some of the parents, and more so now than before, because before it wasn't as bad. You were coming home, you still had that mental capacity to deal with your children in the evening, but with so much going on in the environment, with COVID and so many other things that society is dealing with, we find ourselves busied with just trying to survive. And we need to remember that our children are people too.
Yes, absolutely.
We want to know how is it going with the babysitter? Are you comfortable with the babysitter? What happens? You don't want to ask leading questions. You want to ask open-ended questions. Did you have a good day? What did you guys do?
Gotcha. Okay.
Where was the babysitter when you were watching TV?
Yeah.
Ask questions, and you will get answers. So with COVID happening, there are numbers that children can call. And it's sad. It's really sad that they're unable to have certain conversations around the people that they're with, stuck in the house. There are so many different apps now that can be placed on your child's phone. If you go to the rain.org, you will find apps that you can actually put on your child's phone if your child wants to reach out to someone to talk about what's happening.
Yes. Okay.
And if you see a child, if you know of or think, you can call them and they will advise you as to what to do.
Absolutely. Okay. Now to kind of bring it back circular to your book, I Am, who were you writing this for? I know it was kind of detailing and cathartic for you and your journey, but was it for parents? Is it for children? Who was the audience, and who do you think is going to take away the most from reading your book?
I am hoping that the victims are the one that takes away the most.
Okay.
When I decided to publish I wanted the victims to know that they were not alone
Mm-hmm.
and to encourage them to speak up. I
Mm-hmm.
wanted the parents to see why they needed to have the conversation with their children.
Yeah.
I I wanted survivors to know talking and writing is a part of the healing process. So for those who are healing, I wanted I am to continue helping them heal.
Okay.
And for those who haven't started the healing process, I wanted them to see how good it
Mm-hmm.
feels when you're healing.
Mm, absolutely. Okay. So it's a lot. That's a lot to unpack. It's a lot to share. I've told you this lots of times. I think what you're doing is so incredibly brave and so incredibly important because sex crimes are one of the most underreported crimes. And then especially when you talk and unpack with children, right? Children sometimes don't even feel like they have the words because they're either too young or they don't feel empowered enough to do this. And so what you're doing hopefully is going to continue to save and help other people to be able to heal and work through this. I guess through everything that you've been through, what are some like last minute words of wisdom, either for the victim or both for people caring for children and maybe not thinking enough about this subject and what's happening to their children? What would you say to either?
I would say the pain is real,
Mm,
the act is real, the
yeah.
the abuse is there, it happens.
Mm,
The healing can happen.
yeah. Mm,
If you don't know how to externalize it, then reach out and get help so that you can learn how to externalize it.
mhm, mhm,
If you know of a child that's been through it and that child hasn't yet received the type of help needed,
mhm.
get that child help because it can cause a chain of reaction throughout your journey or that child journey.
Yeah.
And you don't want an already negative thing that happened to have a more devastating impact.
Yeah.
You want to get to it so that the child can be helped.
Absolutely. And I love that you're saying that because I think a lot of times people feel that an incident or their past is defining them. And what you're saying is, it's a moment in your life, right? It could be several moments, it could be several years, it's a season, but it is not the totality of your life. And that there is light after that tunnel, that dark tunnel, and that there is hope and that there's progress and that you will grow from this, you will move from this, but there is movement forward and it is not something to give up on. It is something to heal from. And I think
That is correct.
really,
That is correct.
um,
Take a look at me. I'm here now talking about it all. I
mhm,
never imagined I would be putting all of this in a book for the world to read.
yeah. Wow.
But if it helps one person, I
Mm,
would feel rewarded.
absolutely. So with that, where can people find out more about you if they want to speak with you to learn more about your journey, to read the book? Where do they go?
They can visit my website, www.i-am-anda.com, and they can purchase my book. It's being sold in all major bookstores nationwide, or they can go on to Amazon and Barnes and Nobles. They can even email me at author@i-am-anda.com.
Okay, perfect. Well, yeah, make sure after this you go in the comments and you put that in there as well so that people can chat with you. And I just, again, Amanda, thank you so much for your honesty, for your bravery, for your openness, because not everyone is talking about this and we need to. And as you talked about it with COVID, like it's super scary. The idea that
It is.
people are not only in danger outside because of what's going on with the pandemic, but there's actual live danger in their home. And it's like, if you can't be safe inside and you can't be safe outside, what do you want for people? Like, what do you, and children are the most precious gifts of this earth because they're the future of humanity. And if we refuse to take care of the future, then what are we saying about our society? What do we want from the rest of the
That's right. They're depending on us. That's right, Natasha. They are depending on us.
We have to protect the babies. We have to. And anyone who's been subjected to this at any stage in their life, it is not acceptable, is not okay. And they deserve protection and support through this. So thank you, Amanda. Thank you for everyone.
Thank you for having me and getting the awareness out there. Thank you.
Absolutely. And thank you for everyone who's tuned in. If you have questions or things that come up after you're thinking about this, please put them in the comments so Amanda and I can both come in and address them. And with that, again, just tell people what's the website? Where do they go?
www.i-am-anda.com.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, thank you, Amanda. And just keep doing the great work that you're doing, and have a blessed and wonderful day, okay?
You too, Natasha. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.